Hello, everybody. Just adjusting, checking it out. Shouldn't be too bad. Hello again, and welcome to my radio show. Let me just check if everything's all right. Just checks if everything is all right. And it says I'm live, apparently. So we'll be checking that out. Hope everybody is fine. I'll just check here. Yeah, looks good. A little bit of, I know there's a little bit of kind of the corner of the screen. There's like a brightness. I'll try to fix that in the next few shows. And hope everything is all right. And I hope everything is all right. I'm just gonna change something here because I just noticed I'm in the wrong account. And here, that'll be okay. That'll be better. Yeah, I look a little bright. A little bright and a little... I'll be playing with that and next. I'll be probably doing a live, a kind of a live test show. Sometime next week, and we'll be playing with settings and we'll be playing with different things to try to make things better. So I hope that it's going to be okay. And I will talk a little louder because I know that the camera might not pick up. I'm waiting for a Bluetooth piece that I'll be using instead, because right now I'm on the microphone that is on the phone, and I want to have a better sound, so I'm waiting for a Bluetooth earpiece that would actually have me talking in a microphone instead of talking at a distance to my phone. But I hope it's all right. And I think let's just open the chat in another chat room, in another window, another chat room. What am I saying? There we go. Okay. If something goes wrong, if something explodes, just let me know. I'll be checking it out. Welcome, everybody. This is the Shortwave Radio Show, and it's coming to you from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. We are live every Friday, 2000 hours Universal Time. And we're here to entertain and have fun and talk about radio and just don't care what people think. Because if we do, we're gone. So let me just check it out here. I'll have a handy way of checking it out from my phone. Cool. Don't mind the tons of papers that are going to move away from this space eventually. And hopefully everything's going to be all right. And no, the phone is actually plugged in. Last week what happened with the show is that the phone was plugged in, but the problem is the wire was stretched. And it was actually moving the phone all the time, which I didn't, for some reason, I didn't think about it. I had put a little stop, but it's still, you know. So now it's plugged in. It's actually plugged in on the power supply from the Samsung phone. So there's not going to be that problem. But the funniest thing is that when you do a live show with the camera, the phone actually draws so much power that even when it's plugged in, the battery actually slowly drains because it takes too much power. It's just funny. So my name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I've got my beer, which is a selection of different beers from the Unibrew Quebec company. And it's going to be hopefully a nice show. We got a few things we're going to talk about. Comes from questions from a lot of users, And also I have noticed in the past couple of weeks, basic questions that people ask, and I feel like some people don't ask because they feel like, well, maybe that's a dumb question. So it's just things that we need to talk about. So we'll talk about the different amateur radio bands, the international broadcast bands today. And tomorrow we'll continue because tomorrow we have a show also at 2000 hours. And what's going to happen is tomorrow we're going to continue with what are the frequency ranges for the aeronautical the stuff, maritime stuff, pirate radio, and whatever else weird, unusual things you can listen to. So it's something that I think we need to go through. I know some of you been listening for a long time and saying, I know that. But, even people that listen for, I've been listening for more than 35 years. And I got to say that there are things that I see sometimes on the internet or I see somebody talking about. I'm like, I didn't know that. And I've been listening for 35 years. So, we're going to go through that, of course. And if you guys have any questions, anything, of course, we'll be talking about it for sure. Now, let's go to the chat room. So my name is Joe, located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. We are live every Fridays, 2000 hours Universal Time. We have a show on Saturday, 2000 hours Universal Time every 2 weeks. And this weekend is the weekend I'm being on the International Radio Report. And we're going to talk about a few things also about publications that somebody asked me that I kind of find interesting to have. Okay, PLF Radio from France, hello there. PA1SBM, Alex, nice to have you here from the Netherlands. Ray Kelly, nice to have you on board from Nova Scotia. Nick Amidov from Romania. David Arden, nice to have you on board. Yes, hit that thumbs up button, come on. Richard Cook, nice to have you here from the UK. Neil Thumes, nice to have you on board. Bobby Burgess, WA5107 SWL. From Morgan City, Louisiana. What else we have? Jerry DX, nice to have you here. Tim Lewis, hello there from Eastern Long Island, New York. Steve in Australia, nice to have you here. What else do we have? Two Hands on the Radio, nice to have you on board. And if you guys haven't checked his videos, he's got some great videos on his channel. Two Hands on the Radio. Bobby Burgess, yeah, said hi, and the battery. So no problem with the battery. The phone is plugged in, so it's gonna be okay. Nicola Hughes, nice to have you here from Buckinghamshire, UK. Mark Cope, hey, nice to have you here. The coax, I've got my RG58 coax 4HF. I am waiting for my LMR 400 for VHF, UHF. I was hoping, it's because I didn't have time, because I thought, well, even I don't have the coax for VHF, I can still, install the radio. But the thing is, I didn't have a lot of time this week. So this weekend or sometime early next week, I will install the ICOM here. And even if the VHF, UHF part doesn't work yet, at least I'll have HF on it. And when the LMR 400 arrives, I'll install all of it. And hopefully we'll have some great radio listening. And when that's there, I'm gonna do a special VHF UHF show as to have. I'm looking at something here. There's something happening that's weird. I don't know what. I don't know if it's moving or something. I have the impression that something is moving. Let me just check that out. But it's kind of those things sometimes. So anyways, I'm waiting for all of that. Okay, no, it looks good. It's just that for some reason I have the impression things are moving. So anyways, all of that will be installed here. The ICOM should be there. Apart from that, what I have to say is, does the cell phone get warm after a while? Yeah, it gets quite warm. It gets quite warm, but it actually is okay. I have air conditioning, so you see here temperature 72 is about 21, 22 Celsius. I did stop the air conditioning while the show is happening because it would actually create too much noise, and I'll just start it back when the show's over. But at least it's cool, and the time that it'll take to really get hot inside here, the show will be over. So not too bad. But you guys are gonna see the temperature slowly rise. It's about 85 outside right now. We're in the mid 80s to upper 80s. Not that far from 90 actually. Uh, Alex says dumb questions exist. Yes, they do, but in the case of wanting to learn about something, they're never dumb questions. Learning about something is not a dumb question, and it's like he says, dumb questions exist. It's the questions that you do not ask. Yeah, kind of. I mean, we're here for that, and we are here to have fun. So. William Helms, nice to have you here from Florida. Driver film Shortwave, nice to have you here. Favo69 W4LCM, nice to have you on board. Zach Antle, nice to have you here. And yeah, it's gonna get even better. There are some things. There are things that I'm gonna be adding here. There's lighting also that I might be actually. I'm not sure yet. Maybe Sunday afternoon. I saw at the electronics store where I go get coax and all sorts of things, some really nice lightings that I could maybe add to this. Anyways, this is going to be, every week you're probably going to notice a little something new, something that wasn't there the week before or so. I want this to be a pretty good place. What else do we have? What else do we have? What else do we have? So Fevo69 from Miami, Florida, W4LCM. Ramon, nice to have you here. And cool to see everybody on board. Lincolnshire Poacher, yeah, I think there's going to, I'm not sure, but I think you might be right, Richard, that it was in Cyprus at some point. But maybe it moved around, maybe it wasn't always there. So, well, no. Jerry says, don't turn on the AC, you want to be 71st victim. No problem there. Shouldn't be a problem. So, anyways, it's going to be nice to see everybody here. I'm just looking. I'm wondering what's moving. I'm sorry, I'm probably getting nuts. Oh, I think I know why. I've just noticed why. When I move my glasses, there's a reflection on the phone. And when I move in a certain way, I see a reflection move. The phone ain't moving. It's the shadows. So I'm going to stop looking at the phone and look at this chat room. So hope everybody's doing well. Yeah, we had some really warm weather here. Not the past week. It was rather warm, but the week before, man, it was crazy. We had almost 100 Fahrenheit. It was like 36 Celsius one day. Real temperature, not counting the humidex, the humidity factor in. It was crazy. I had to get the big gun AC out. I mean, as I was saying last time, the air conditioning units that I have are portable units. They are okay for a room. They're not strong enough to do the full apartment here. So I've got 4 rooms, and 2 of them are quite big. My office and the living room or actually quite big rooms. So basically, when it was 35, I just took out the really big gun AC and put it in the patio door, so that it now it was cool, because I would have gone crazy just with the heat. But it's actually not too bad in here. So temperature is going to rise. You see 73.8, and the fact that I have 4 big spots plus running computers, the temperature in the room is going to probably rise. But I've got some really cold beer. Should be okay. Dan Walsh, nice to have you here. So, okay, so apparently it was in Bletchley Park and was later relocated to Cyprus. That's nice, history of number station. That's cool. Cool. What else do we have? Yeah, big game Sunday. Yeah, France against Croatia. And we'll see who wins. We see a few French supporters out there. Wonder why. So, man, on what was it? Tuesday was the game. Croatia was Croatia against the UK, and everywhere downtown. I was downtown. Everywhere downtown. Everywhere there was a bar with a big screen. Everywhere there was a big screen showing a game. There were tons of people gathered outside the windows and just looking in for the game. It was pretty amazing. It's something we don't see a lot here. Even when we see, because obviously in Montreal the number one sport will be hockey, but in hockey games we don't see that kind of thing. We see the sports bar, are full and things like that. But of course, then again, the other thing about the problem with hockey is that it's probably minus 20 outside, so people don't want to be there. But it's not the same thing. I don't know. It's like it's a different thing. Although we haven't here. Montreal hasn't been in the finals in the hockey in such a long time that forget it. I don't even remember what it looks like. So, Driver Film says original broadcast point unclear. Sources suggest Hounslow Park in Buckinghamshire or a transmitter on Signal Hill, but moved later to the Royal Air Force Aquatery in Cyprus. Huh, nice. That is nice to know a little bit of history. So, what else do we have? Is it actually illegal to listen to a shortwave number stations in the UK? It's not very clear, honestly. Is it or not? I don't know. But I don't think it is. But you never know. There's these crazy laws sometimes that we are not unaware of. Like here in Canada, one of the things that we have is you're not allowed to. There's kind of a rule that says that if a transmission is encrypted, so not meant for you, you're technically not allowed to decrypt it. So there's kind of a something there about that, But honestly, you're doing that in your home. You're not telling the world you're listening to it. Just keep it for yourself and, keep your mouth shut. Who cares? Turn on your radio and do whatever you want. David Arden says, looked up the poacher in Wikipedia. Interesting. I used to work at the RAF Crowton. There is much on the internet about that site that I was told was classified. And there's a lot of these things. One of the things that on the Spectres of Shortwave documentary that they talk about is that the Sackville transmitter site where Radio Canada International was, part of it was there was some military there. And I mean, if there was some military there, there surely was something going on with transmissions coming out of there, of Sackville, that could be military stuff, honestly. You know. So it's kind of crazy. Hey, Jean Paradis, nice to have you here. Thank you. And it's going to be even better. This is the start of the new setup. And you know what, guys? It actually made me play guitar. I cleaned up everything. And I got a friend of mine that plays piano. And about 3 weeks ago, he was, we went out and had a few beers. And when he got home, he was a little drunk. And we had to talk about music and the piano that he was playing. And I was telling him to play a little bit of guitar. So when I got home, like at 4 a.m., I got this Facebook Messenger video. And he was playing piano to show me how and he's actually really good. And which, of course, made me, when I started cleaning up here, and the guitar is now, like, you know, nice and there, and you guys might not see it, but I've got a, let me just put this here. I've got a Strat, a Fender Strat. So, I thought, well, okay, he sent me a piece of piano. Let me send him a piece of guitar. So I actually played a little bit of guitar, and I played him a U2, the U2 song, Walk On, and played the guitar and sang at the same time a little bit, just to show him, you know, my basic guitar playing. But it was kind of fun. But you know what? Now that it's out, all I need is a cable to hook it up. Because my, I remembered I had two guitar cables. There's somebody that I know that doesn't have a lot of money, and he didn't have the money to pay for cables for his electric guitar to plug in his amplifier. So what I did is I gave him the two cables I had. I said, look, they're yours, okay? I'll buy myself new cables next time I go to the electronics store, they have some cables. I'm going to purchase a couple of cables to hook up to my Marshall amplifier and maybe start, you know, kind of practicing a little bit. It kind of gave me, playing that U2 song kind of gave me that little something that was missing. I don't know if there's part of me saying, hey man, you should start practicing again. It's kind of fun, you know? And that's been such a long time since I played. I didn't play officially in more than a year for sure. So I thought, well, you know what? Let's do something with that. So sorry, I know it's not shortwave. I'm just going around, you know. What else do we have? What else do we have? PLF Radio. Yes, I know that Canada will be one of the hosts of the 2026 Soccer World Cup. We are hoping there's actually a big chance that some of the games will be here in Montreal, by the way. I think there were like 2 cities that were possible in Canada, Montreal being one of them. So the city of Montreal is kind of looking at what they could do, because there are kind of strict rules. Soccer should be played on real grass, not artificial grass, and there's all sorts of these little rules. And that actually takes out the Olympic Stadium we got here, which is the venue for more than 50,000 people. But it has artificial grass, and it needs a roof replacement, and it's like crazy nuts. So I don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, why not? It'd kind of be cool if we had at least a game or two here in Montreal. It would be fun. I would like that. You know. What else do we have? Driver phone shortwave. So David Arden says, from what I recall, in the UK, you can listen to anything other than broadcast. You can't listen and broadcast an amateur station. Oh. Driver from Shortwave says number stations technically don't exist as they are not listed officially, so unless you are a spy who can decode it, then no. Yeah, they actually do not exist officially, that's true. Rock Ristorante, nice to have you on board. Can you start over again? I just got home from work and I don't want to miss anything. We didn't miss much. Mostly, what we're going to talk about today a little bit. So Risto SM0SBT, nice to have you here from Stockholm, Sweden. Leon Hutchison, nice to have you here. How are you getting on with SDR console? They just added the ICOM 8600, so I'm giving it a try. I don't like it. I honestly don't like SDR console, and every chance I get, I'd rather use HD SDR. It's really as simple as that. But I don't like it, and that's one thing I want to make sure that everybody understands, because I posted a video that my final verdict is I prefer HD SDR, but it is a preference, not a. It's not because one is better than the other or one is bad and the other is good. It has nothing to do with that. It's simply my preference, my personal preference. That's it. But and somebody posted the message as well. It's funny to see everybody's preferences, and it's like, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. I prefer HD SDR, but it's not that because SDR console is banned. It's simply because I don't like SDR console. That's it. But it is very complete and has a lot of things. I mean, when you look at that, sorry guys if I'm kind of looking at myself on my phone from time to time to make sure everything's all right. So, it's a question of preference. Honestly, very, very, just honest preference. They are both excellent. They both have lots of things. I mean, SDR console has tons of, settings, and you can really tweak a lot of things in there. Looks great, but I just don't like it. I don't like the feel. There's something I don't like about it. Jim Gordon, nice to have you here from Scotland. Slowly getting back to broadcast band DXing. Recently bought an ICF 2001D, amazing radio, and a Texan PL310 ET. It's almost deaf on shortwave using its whip antenna. It's weird because it shouldn't. PL310 ET should be listening to all the shortwave stations. I mean, especially in Scotland, you have quite a lot of, you have more shortwave broadcasts than here. It shouldn't be deaf. There's something not right. Either the PL310 ET has a problem, or you're not noticing that you have too much noise in your home. But the PL310 ET is actually a very sensitive receiver. It shouldn't be deaf. Hey, Cosmic Lettuce, nice to have you on board. PLF Radio Guitar Show, Jill. There's a lot of them, but one of the things that I had thought about when I started doing some YouTube stuff was a channel to help people learn songs on the guitar. And I was thinking it was a great idea for one reason. It would make my guitar playing better because I would play more. I'd learn songs at the same time because I'd probably be learning the songs at the same time that I'm pretty much explaining how to play the songs. And, I really thought about it. There's a lot of YouTube stuff about that. The problem is the copyright stuff, As soon as you start, fiddling around and playing a few little notes of some known pop rock song, you get YouTube that just hammers you down and says, hey, copyright. So, but they did some changes on YouTube. I noticed the other day, I posted a video of me singing a Pink Floyd song on one of my obscure channels that I rarely post anything to. And it actually told me, because it told me copyright because it was a song from Pink Floyd, but it actually told me, is this you, singing that song or interpreting the song, or did you perform the song? Is it your performance of a Pink Floyd song? And it actually asked me, if I clicked yes, it said that it would share the revenue. So instead of having all the revenue going to Pink Floyd, I would have part of the revenue to myself because I did the song, even though it is a Pink Floyd one. So, kind of interesting. So, But a long time ago, when I started my brainwashing of what I want to do on YouTube, and I had tons of ideas of all sorts of things, from cooking shows to guitar to radio to technology to some kind of funny show where with jokes and just like anything goes. And I still have that name in my head because I kind of feel I want to do a show called Anything Goes, where really anything can happen. And so one of them was guitar playing. I was like, yeah, you could show riffs and help people learn songs with their guitars. That was one of my things that I did think about when I started the YouTube channel stuff. And and I'm still kind of brainwashing myself a little bit because I have 5 YouTube channels that are monetized because they fit the YouTube the YouTube rules of at least 1,000 subs and 4,000 hours of viewing time per year. So I've got 5 channels that actually are and fit that, but I've got a few that are not far from it. So I've got a few channels that maybe are 600, 700, 800 subs. That if I would kind of go there and maybe kind of repost and do something with it, maybe I could easily probably get 1,000 subs soon and start monetizing it also. So I don't know. I still have some ideas. I still have some stuff. I don't know. There's even one thing that I thought about was just for the heck of it. I thought of doing a YouTube channel from scratch and calling it, I don't know, beginner's YouTube channel or something. And actually show everybody how easy is it to get to 1,000 subscribers starting from scratch. But of course, it's a little bit unfair because I already have a few popular channels. So of course I would have the weight of my popular channels helping out on that channel to grow. But I could also do a not cheat. Start it in a way that I don't promote it from outside and just say, hey, we're going to start to do a YouTube channel. I'm going to see how long it takes to get to 1,000 subscribers from scratch, Bill K3WDR, nice to have you on board. Pretty cool to have everybody here. It's fun to see everyone. So what else? What else do we have? Let me just go down here. Yeah, some portables work better with. That's one thing. If you have an outdoor antenna, some little portables like the PL310ET might not be very good on long wires. Sometimes adding a long wire or a big antenna to a receiver will actually have it go deaf because it's overloaded, and so it just doesn't receive anything. Nicolas says, good Texan radio, I'm getting the PL660. That's a good one. It's a pretty good one. Hey, Ralph Bender, nice to have you here. Thanks for the donation, by the way. Much appreciated. Mark Cope says you'll like the PL660. It is a great radio, absolutely. Randall Kluntz, nice to have you here. Hey, let me just move this up a little bit. I want to see how many people are watching. There we go. I was not looking at the numbers. And it's fun to see the numbers. There we go. Randall Kluntz from Northeast Illinois, nice to have you here. What else do we have? Zach Antle says, I'm super excited. Somebody started uploading all the old Robert Stack episodes of Unsolved Mysteries on YouTube. Wow, this is cool. There's a lot of old stuff, on YouTube. If you go to, there's a lot of old black and white shows that kind of have almost no more copyright or whatever, or actually nobody cares. And there's so many things, BLK3WDR says 80 meters has been pretty good the last couple of nights. 40 meters also. I have tons of European stations, 40 meters. Pretty cool. Yesterday I went outside to I went to a park and enjoyed the afternoon. I had like enough of my day yesterday. Yesterday was the day when everything, when you start the day and everything doesn't go well. and after like a couple of hours, you're like, okay, I got enough. I'm gonna do something else. So around 1 p.m., I thought I got enough. I got to take some time and enjoy the beautiful weather. So I went to a park. I didn't go to Perry Island. The first idea I had was go to Perry Island, and finally I didn't go to Perry Island because I was lazy. I was a little bit lazy, and I thought I'll just go to a park next to the water, and hook up a little piece of wire and just have fun like that. Nothing official. I still have some videos to upload, by the way, and had a lot of fun with that. And I mean, wow, when the noise level gets to zero or almost zero, it's incredible on the signals you pick up. It's really amazing to see the amount of signals I was getting there that are there all the time. But when I'm here, the noise is just too high. It gets washed out. Because there was a lot of stuff to listen to yesterday. Roberto, do you recommend Baofeng radios? Well, a lot of people have Baofeng radios. And Dry Film Shortwave says Baofeng have terrible filtering on receive. Or at least the GT3 does. I see a lot of people with Baofeng that seem to be happy. They are cheap, but you always got to remember one thing: is that if you buy a radio at a very cheap price and it has a lot of bells and whistles, it's important to understand that there will be a trade-off. There's always a trade-off. So a lot of people are happy, and I think maybe if you put it in context of the price paid versus the performance of the device, yeah, okay, that might be okay. But there's a lot of people that actually own them that seem to like them. But always remember, the cheaper you go in the radio, there's a more and more trade-off. There's less and less things that work as they should, and there will be less selectivity. There will be less. The radio might suffer from overload. Might suffer from things that a more expensive radio will not, because if you pay less, well, that means there's less of a circuit to protect from different things that could happen. MEC, nice to have you here from Central Pennsylvania. Chris Freitas, nice to have you here. It's funny you mentioned SDR console. I couldn't get it to work on my RTL SDR, but HD SDR and SDR Sharp work great. However, my preference is SDR Sharp. I find it a bit easier for me. So, it's really a question of preference. And you know what? That's funny that you talk about your problem with SDR console, because I got multiple PCs here. And both my PCs that run Windows 7 actually work really well with HD SDR and SDR Sharp. But the funniest thing is, SDR console, for a reason I can't understand, doesn't work on my two Windows 7 machine. I checked the firewall, everything, but yet every machine I have with Windows 10, I got problems with HD SDR, but SDR console works perfectly. It's weird. It's the way that, I don't know, the way they're done or the way that they get the data or something. Chris Freitas also just ordered 310 ET and sent back the original 909 back to eBay seller. Turned out the speaker was bad. That is, by the way, Chris Freitas, the #1 issue of that radio. The speaker goes bad. It's a known fact, and it's a known issue of the Syngene ATS 909, or for those that have the Radio Shack version, Radio Shack DX398. Mine, the speaker's gone bad too. When I listen to it, I have an outboard speaker that I use. But honestly, one of the, maybe a fun weekend project to do maybe would be to change the speaker. But it is a known issue, Chris, of the 909. So Travel Film Shortwave says that for a first HD, it's good and it's cheap enough. I've had a contact 60 plus miles away. with a homebrew antenna using one. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, it is the ARRL handbook over my shoulder right here. This one is the 2007, but I do have a electronic version of the 20, I believe it's the 2014 or 2015 version. I like that. That's the kind of thing I buy like once every 10 years because it doesn't change enough every year to buy one. And I just want to say for people that think, oh well, that he's got that, I should buy it. No, wait. The ARL handbook is an amazing book, but it is a very technical book. It's a book if you want to learn more about electronics and how electronics and electricity work and how radio communications work. It's a very complete book to learn about all of that. It's a very technical book. So unless you are inclined to, read pages of the resistors and transistors and the, effects of different, the capacitors and so on, the inductors and all of that, it's not necessarily the best book. I think the ARRL handbook is probably something that I would recommend to any amateur radio operator that is that wants to learn really a lot about his hobby. Because if you're an amateur radio operator, you gotta. I think part of the fun of being an AM radio operator is to manage, to understand how all of that works a little more. Michael Ketchell says, hey, for the UK, have you managed to try out an ICOM R30 scanner yet? I have not tried one myself. I know of a few people that have one and are really impressed with it. So it looks interesting, but I have not tried one personally. What else? Let's continue here. So, Driver Film Shortwave says, Jill and the Shortwave Cooking Show. Today we will make pancakes while listening to Radio Vania Cuba. You do a show that you got to do a meal that's from that country. It's like, okay, today we will listen to Mexico today and learn how to do tortillas at home. And now, this is Radio France International, and we will make some croissants and baguettes today. This is how it works. That would be good. Unfortunately, no Radio Canada International. We could do poutine for a start. David Arden, do I dance? Yes, I do dance when I'm drunk. And it's not necessarily the best thing that you will see. If you've ever seen Seinfeld and have seen Elaine dance, it's almost like that. Oh man. Hey, Shortwave Frequency Channel, nice to have you here. Yeah, well, not, we're gonna have some warm weather, but we're not going to, we're not gonna have as warm a weather as we had a week and a half ago. La Crosse, Wyoming, I would guess, or W-I-E-A-S. What's a good shortwave receiver for cheap? I would say my two main choices are always pretty much the same. Without single sideband, the Texan PL380 or the Texan PL310 ET, around $40, sometimes less. An amazing sensitivity, an amazing radio for what it is, for the price paid. Want to have single sideband, the Texan PL660, 680, below $100, and you'll have something quite interesting, honestly. Yeah, the wideband receivers like police scanners are not the best shortwave radios in general. So go for a separate one, for sure. What else do we have? What else do we have? Yeah, Amazon has a lot of text and receivers that are nice. Shortwave frequency channel. I just looking at your VHF UHF channel. Really good channel. I've got a Baofeng UV5R and love it. Cool. Thanks for the comment. Nice to have you here. You post videos on your channel, Shortwave frequency channel, because I sometimes do reviews of other YouTube channels that talk about radio. Question of, helping them out, boost a little more of their the viewers. So yeah, trade-off equal compromise. Rock Restaurante is receiving radio Thailand 9920 S8 in Stockholm. Cool. Cool. Yes, I am usually a little behind in the chat. Any QSL cards lately? Nope. I haven't had a QSL card in a while now, and I haven't had. I feel I don't have much time, so I haven't had time to really sit down and send reports. I do listen. I mean, I've listened regularly in the past couple of weeks. Here and there, but not really sent any lately. And what's nice is that while I was doing my office, kind of remake the office usable again, I found a pile of QSLs that were not classified in my books. So I found nice QSLs that I've received, including the last QSL from Radio Netherlands. I had the last QSL from Radio Netherlands. I found a few QSLs from stations that are gone that I was like, oh man, I got nice QSLs from these stations. Crazy. SWL60N, nice to have you on board from Stockholm, Sweden. Pretty cool. Bill K3WDR says the handbook and operator handbook are good to have. I get them every 5 years. Yeah, it's not the thing you're going to buy every year. But it's the thing you're going to buy every, 5 to 10 years. I mean, they updated with newer stuff. So it's good to have them from time to time, every 5 to 10 years, I think is the appropriate time. I think that's the good time to kind of refresh the books. They are a little bit expensive, but they're amazing, amazing books to learn about all of this, about the hobby, about amateur radio, about electronics and everything. SWL60N says, I was recently in the UK and had the chance to listen to local AM radio. It was this long time ago since Sweden does not have any AM radio stations. Talksport runs ads, marketing, and DAB+, no FM. Nice. Marco Barsotti, nice to have you here. I'm writing an article on Vatican Radio. Can you share what you know about reception in the past or nowadays? Well, Vatican Radio, I still hear them quite regularly. They are not broadcasting, unfortunately, anymore to North America, but I hear the Africa service. One of the things I really like about Vatican Radio, and honestly, for a station that is concentrated on the Pope, because let's face it, that's pretty much it's one of its goal, it has a surprising news service. And so apart from the tidbits of, Pope Francis did this and said that, there's a lot of news about Africa that is very interesting to listen to. So Vatican Radio is actually, I'm I'm not a religious guy, and and so I don't listen to any, religious stations at all. But I do listen to Vatican Radio because part of the transmission is actually very interesting. And they do have, and I did read, I don't remember where I read this, but I did read somewhere that about how they actually do have a decent and interesting news service. So it's, you know, it's one of those things that you're like, yeah, you know, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. So, but you know, it's difficult to receive in North America because Vatican Radio is, of course, not broadcasting to us anymore. So, you know, it's sad because you know it makes it difficult for us to listen to it. Sometimes I will use an online SDR, you know, a receiver in Europe or somewhere where I know I might actually get the signal. But I do miss having a North American service of Vatican Radio with the new service that they have now. It's really changed a lot. You know, honestly, Vatican Radio in the 80s was all about the Pope and the Pope's travels and pretty much nothing more. It's a very different service that Vatican Radio offers today. And a lot of news comes out of it. It's quite interesting. Dark Noise, nice to have you on board from the Netherlands. Richard Cook's got Voice of Korea on 12015. Randall Kluntz, Radio Romania on 13650. Let's try it out. It's 13650. Here it is. Radio Romania.
Traditional symbolism, but is one of Wisconsin's main sources of inspiration. Philologist Roger Washington is the daughter of built the structure of Vancouver's monument, the Endless Column, in Still. Here is what she told us.
It's on 11850 also, but 11850 is a little weaker, but 13650, not too bad of a signal. Not as strong as I'm used to, but it's still not too bad of a signal. Not too bad of a signals. So let's check it out. Let's go up. Let's go up. Hey, Sparky Zillan, nice to have you on board, my friend. Does someone make a receiver that receives D-Star? One of the local repeaters that I listen to switched to D-Star, so I can't listen to it anymore. Yeah, the expensive receivers like the ICOM ICR 8600, the portable, the ICOM ICR 30, I believe, does D-Star also. But they are expensive. They're expensive radios. But I think, but the cheapest, you know, the ICOM ICR 30, I don't know what price it's at, but I do know, and I'm pretty sure it does D-Star. Unless I'm wrong. Well, I'll take a look, shortwave frequency channel, and if they're mainly radio, I'll check it out. Mark Cope just got an email from KBC after sending a report 2 weeks ago. Gary Orban, nice to have you on board from Tokyo, Japan. Early morning Saturday over there. I'll check it out. HM01 due in 6 minutes on 11/6/5. We're going to try to check that out. Hey, Sheldon Harvey, nice to have you here from Griefel Park, Quebec. And pretty cool. PLF Radio says Radio Vatican broadcast. Where's Africa most of the time? I don't know all the target areas, but I know Africa is one of their main target areas. And what I usually hear is the African service on shortwave. I think it was 15565 is the frequency. I've heard them in the past month. I maybe heard them 2 or 3 times. I think it's on 15565, around like 1700 UTC, 1700 UTC. When propagation is good enough, I actually hear them on that frequency around that time. And that's the African service. So I don't know. They might have, you know, they might be broadcasting to Asia and all and that, but not to North America. And what else do we have? Jerry DX says R30 sure does D-Star. Yeah, that's what I thought. I think the 8600 also. The 8600 also. And I'll be checking it out, shortwave frequency channel. If it falls into the category of radio videos all the time, I'll be happy to talk about it and give you a little hint. And talking about Sheldon Harvey, let's talk a little bit about something that, because somebody was asking me, anything I can subscribe to kind of have news about radio and all this stuff. Yeah, one of the things that is there is the Canadian International DX Club. The CIDX is the Canadian International DX Club, the official Canadian club of radio. You don't have to be Canadian, and it deals with a lot of stuff that is actually international. So you don't worry about the Canadian name to it, but it's from Canada. And they have this messenger bulletin this is the July edition of the messenger bulletin. And it is a very, very nice, very professionally made bulletin from the club. It has a lot of, they have all sorts of there's the technical topics, potting alarm, DX program guide, primetime shortwave lists, DX listening digest info, free radio scene for the pirate stuff, Arctic and Antarctic DX, the ham radio report. It's got news notes and all sorts of very interesting stuff, broadcast bands. It's got loggings of shortwave stuff also. Lots of information in there, and a very well made bulletin for the CIDX. And this, of course, is a very, very inexpensive bulletin that you can get a sample copy if you've never asked before. CIDXclub@yahoo.com. CIDXclub@yahoo.com. It's free for a sample copy. Don't ask for more than one. And if you like what you see, $10 per year, $25 for 3 years, pretty cheap. And you're not only receiving a bulletin, electronic bulletin on your computer, you're also part of a club. And it's a great, great bulletin that you can check out. So CIDXclub@yahoo.com, and Sheldon will be super happy to send you a sample copy if you wish to have one. So check that out. It's totally worth it. And Sheldon and David, and every 2 weeks, me, are part of the International Radio Report, which is a local station here in Montreal, CKUT 90.3 FM, every Sundays at 14:30 UTC. You can stream it online, ckut.ca. Every 2 weeks I participate, and the main guys there are Sheldon and David every Sunday mornings. And of course you can stream it, you can listen to the archive at ckut.ca. You click archive and you click the International Radio Report on Sundays. And it's a great radio related show. Every 2 weeks I participate. I will be there this Sunday talking about pirate radio. And it's just a very interesting show to listen to every week. Always fun to listen to it, for sure. What else do we have? Bill, K3WDR says, hoping to have some guys with my club help me get 142 feet infant antenna up 60 feet tree. Whoa, that's high, and that's pretty good. Wow. Cuban Lady is live on 11635. Let's check it out. I hear it. I'm hearing the digital stuff. And you'll probably hear the Cuban Lady say a little something. Eventually, at some point. Yeah, she's there, but it's very, very weak. Honestly, very, very weak. Marco Barsetti says, thanks for your answer. Follow-up question, only one I promise. When Vatican Radio had a U.S. service, was it from transmitter in Rome? Was the signal usable with a normal receiver and not only with a DXer's rig. Thanks. Um, Vatican Radio transmits from a location called, well, I'm trying to remember. It's a kind of an Italian name. Um, so Vatican Radio was transmitting from their own transmitter site, and it's not from Rome. It's really from the Vatican State. They have their own transmitter site. Um, it's transmitter site. It's called. It's called. Trying to remember from where. I forgot the name, but it's an Italian name, Gali something. I got part of it, but it's kind of I don't know. But it really transmits from the Vatican state. They have their own transmitter site there. There's actually if you want to add another part of information, Marco, about Vatican Radio, they actually had a kind of a lawsuit going on because they had a very high-powered transmitter on, was it medium wave or long wave? I don't remember which one. And there were some rumors that the people that live near the transmitter site might, and I do say maybe, might have a might have had a higher rate of cancer. I remember reading it. I think it was in not popular, in Monitoring Times at the time, or maybe it's not impossible. I've read it on the internet also, but there was something happening there because of people complaining about possible effects of transmitter, high-powered transmitter radio frequencies and rates of cancer and stuff like that. So there was that little thing that I remember about. As for Vatican Radio, when they had the North American service, was a very easy station to listen to. I mean, just a little portable receiver, you would listen to Vatican Radio very, very easily. It was one of those stations that you hear very well when it was in broadcasting to North America, And you can ask any question. There's no problem there. I got maybe 4 or 5 QSLs from Vatican Radio here from the 80s. From the 80s, and with Pope John Paul II, which was Pope back then. So hope it answers your questions. What else do we have? Jerry says some activity on 27025. Eh bien, yes or no? Bonjour et bienvenue. And we are already past the first hour mark. This is the international. What the hell? I was about to say the International Radio Report. I don't know. I got my mind set for Sunday morning. This is a shortwave show, and we're here every Friday, 2000 hours UTC. Cosmic Lettuce, is the Cuban lady an actual person, or is it a simulated voice? It's probably a simulated voice, because it's always very same tone. So it's probably a recording, some kind of digital recording, I would guess. All they have to do is input the numbers. It would be funny if they were actual people there. And it reminds me of, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie, the movie was Number Station, I believe it was called, where there's actually a lady that goes in and gives numbers out in a transmitter, and there's a guy that's like the security guard there. I think for a very, very long time it's been recorded stuff, because the voices, even in the 80s, all of the number stations we could hear were very robotic. So I would guess it's been like that for a long. I mean, most of the time they're only numbers. So I would guess, you just record the numbers and put them in the order you need, and we've been able to digitize that in such a long time. But that would be kind of funny to see oh, thank you, PLF Radio. It's near Rome. Okay, Santa Maria di Galeria. That's the official transmitter site. Merci PLF Radio. That's the one I was searching for. Sheldon says Hams using East German call signs will be operating for 1 day on Saturday. The last time. So, oh, this is interesting. Thanks for the info. So, 24 hours, the special Y8 call signs. Ex-DDR call sign group from Y81A through Y89U, not used for 28 years, has been issued specially for the WRTC Championship, Wittenberg, Germany. But these call signs will only be on air for 24 hours of the WRTC IARU HF contest. After that, these call signs may never appear on the air again, or maybe perhaps for another 28 years. So this is cool. This is very cool. Stations will be active on CW and SSB on all contest bands from 80 meters through 10 meters. Not only is this the only opportunity to word these call signs, there's also a range of awards available for working the WRTC stations. So, hey guys, you gotta. That's gonna be interesting. And you know what? They're gonna be on air for only 24 hours. They're gonna start at 1200 hours UTC on Saturday, July 14th. Wow, I'm gonna try for that tomorrow. I'm gonna try for that tomorrow for sure, and hopefully, can hear something about it. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing, Sheldon. Really, really cool. Oh wow. So this is gonna be like the last time that you can hear East German call signs, like in the good old days of the 80s. And I don't believe I've ever heard, anyways, a East German amateur radio station ever back then when Germany was split in two. So thanks, Sheldon, for the info. Really nice. Hey, David in Barcelona, Spain. Nice to have you here. I gotta open another beer now. And I will open a apple flavored beer. FMF. This is gonna be my second beer for the day. Really cold. Look at that. No air conditioning. Temperature moved from 72 to 76 Fahrenheit in 1 hour. And with all the electronics plus all the spotlights working here, it's not too bad because most of the lights are LEDs. So they don't emit a lot of heat compared to the older, incandescent stuff. And they're very, very quiet. I chose them because they are extremely quiet on the shortwave bands also. Bill K3WDR says, have you looked at the new C Crane shortwave? It has SSB and good reviews. I have seen a lot of videos and of reviews of it, and it does seem to be a pretty good radio. I find it a little expensive, but people that have it seem to be very happy. There are a lot of YouTube videos of people posting reception with it, and it looks good. It looks good. Richard Cook says Vatican Radio is on 7360 kilohertz right now. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. PLF Radio says, sometimes number stations give voice messages, so I think it's not recorded. Am I right? Most of the number stations I would think are recorded. Because it's, with the digital stuff today, I would think it would be easier to have a digitized voice. They're always the same. But, you never know. There could be some number stations that actually have a real person, But I would say that probably all of them are, at least in 2018, all the number stations that are there now are probably, a digitized voice that just give out the message that are like, they just enter the messages in the computer. And the digitized voice just sends them out. I mean, digitized voice today are so good. But even a long time, if you listen to, if you ever listen to the Lincolnshire Poacher, which just sounds really creepy, by the way, it even that sounds recorded. It's always the same intonation, the same voice. There's, if it would be a human, there would be some differences in the way that the numbers are sometimes said for some reason. But it's always the same thing. So I believe they've been pretty much recorded for a long time. So cheers, everybody. It's a blueberry beer. I thought it was apple. It's a blueberry beer. Sorry. 5.5%. What else do we have? Pierre Arsenault says, I drank for the first time a beer called Doris. This beer is produced by the brewery Naufrageur in Gaspésie. Very good blonde beer. I saw Doris. I think I saw that at the local grocery store, Vianney. You like it? Good blonde beer? I should try it next time. I do believe I've seen it at the grocery store. The name, I remember, the name tells me something. I remember seeing it. Pretty sure. So, David in Barcelona says, okay, so, that's kind of cool to see what's happening. Gary Horman has his sample CIDX messenger. Cool. Cool. And it's very inexpensive if you guys want to subscribe to it. It's beautifully made little publication. Somebody asked me also about the Monitoring Times magazine. Was there something that replaced Monitoring Times? Because a lot of people were, when Monitoring Times went away, a lot of people were kind of a little bit down on the fact that it went away. So, yeah, it is sad. You are totally right. But there's a replacement that's pretty much the same thing. It has the same feel, the same. I love it. I subscribe to it every year. It's the Spectrum Monitor. This is the July 2018 edition of it. They have a big article on the history of police radio in the U.S. Lots of stuff. So, plus amateur radio, the BBC, radio in the World War I Western Front, Star, Solid State HF, and Understanding SDRs Part 2. So they even have an SDR kind of thing here. So lots of cool stuff in there, lots of information. It's one of the magazines that are pretty good, and it pretty much is Monitoring Times. So Spectrum Monitor is something like 30 some bucks a year US. It's an electronic publication also, because there's no more paper publications. The problem with paper publications is the fact that it costs so much money to send out a paper magazine today that pretty much everybody goes digital. That's one of the reasons why CIDX Messenger is electronics. It just saves a lot of time, and costs a lot less. So, it reflects that the CIDX Messenger was more expensive when it was a paper publication for the subscription. And subscription price went down, and because they're part of a club, and it helps the club also do activities. Like, for example, next month, there's going to be the CIDX barbecue in Greenfield Park, Quebec on Saturday, August 18th. I will be there, by the way, and there will be a live show from the CIDX barbecue. So hope everybody that is a member will join in, and I think it's going to be really, really cool to have that show. It will be the second year. Last year I really had a big blast. It was really a lot of fun. So I hope this year, it's going to be a lot of fun again, and I hope everything's going to work right for our little 2000 hours show. So, XP82 on 13884 in 6 minutes. I'm going to go on 13884. Oops, wrong place. 13884, upper sideband. And we're going to try to listen to XP82, the Russian number station. Let's see if it comes out. And while we're promoting things, I will do some self-promotion. If you like what I do, don't forget, you can help me out. Donations are accepted and are welcome. They help me, for example, redo my office by buying lights and buying equipment and coax for the radio to be here and maintain the computers. Computers get old and they eventually need to be replaced, and all of that costs a lot of money. So yes, I do have YouTube monetization. I get asked all the time. Of course, I get YouTube monetization. Honestly, in 2018, YouTube monetization is much better than last year. I'm actually being able to take deep breaths and take it easy. Well, not really, because I gotta do videos, but it is much better. But you know what? Your donations still help, and your donations only go at the equipment and the stuff that I need. They don't, unless you specify. Sometimes I get a donation and somebody says, well, I'm giving you this, and I hope that you take half of it and buy Paul the cat some food or treats. Or sometimes somebody will, send me a donation and say, well, that's for your beer. And so I will respect that and actually do it. So thanks for everybody that donated. PayPal.me/shortwave, or if you have the Yahoo email that you see on the screen, that's one way that you can actually help me out. You can also join 12 patrons that I have right now on patreon.com/radioandcomputers. Patreon's a little tricky. Make sure that you set it up right and that you put a limit to the amounts that you want to give. The way Patreon works is that the first of the month you get charged for the month. So a lot of people like that because it's automatic and you don't have to do anything. Just be very careful because it's easy to kind of get lost in there. And so PayPal is also one thing. I've had a lot of people complaining a little bit about PayPal and all of that because of fees. These services live on the fact that they have fees for all sorts of things when you send money. All I can say about that is, if you find that the fee is high on PayPal, instead of sending a donation every month or, just add it up and send it once a year or send it once every 6 months. And like that, the fee that will be taken, because, on PayPal, if you send $1 and if you send $50, it's the same fee. But the problem is, on the $1, the fee is high compared to the fee that you pay for $50. So that's why I will often say, well, you know what, just add it. And say, well, okay, I didn't give this year. Well, I'll give now the total I would have given usually, or things like that, to avoid paying the fee all the time. Because, it is annoying. And, Patreon is even worse, because Patreon, what the problem with Patreon is, and it's not a problem, I mean, that's how they live. It's the way that they do it. It's the way that they live. It's the business. Patreon takes a percentage of all the donations. So what happens is on Patreon, I get that percentage taken out. Then I get that money sent to PayPal where there's a fee. So it's kind of a double fee with Patreon because of that. But whatever you use is okay. Just, think about it that I get it when you guys go crazy over the fact that, well, I sent you, $1 and I get $1 fee. It's crazy. It's like, I know, it's totally nuts. So, if you send small amounts, add them up. Hey, XBA2 is here. This is a Russian number station. Whoops. So thanks for everybody that donated, by the way. Very good signal. So this is a Russian number station, 13884 upper sideband. Kind of cool. So this is the Russian, pretty good signal. I don't know how much power they have. I wonder how much power they use. It can be very powerful. 13884 upper sideband XPA2 number station. RT Gideon says, love your show every Friday. Do you have videos of you singing at karaoke? Yeah, if you Google, if not Google, but if you go on YouTube and search for a guy named Tim Robinson, AC/DC. The guy has a AC/DC tribute channel. He's actually took a few of my performance at the karaoke bar here, because the karaoke bar I go to has a live feed on the internet, and he's actually posted several videos of me singing. Not all of them very good, but if you want to see that, he's got several videos. If you put my name, Gilles, and time karaoke, you will also, I have a channel that I don't, I post just random stuff on, that actually has me singing a Pink Floyd song, from, which is Time, and it's, I think it was recorded 2-3 weeks ago. Went to the karaoke. It was a private, there's a private part at the karaoke place, and we had a little party there, and a friend of mine took my phone and actually took the video. So it's kind of cool. So anyways, I am on the internet. So as Sheldon Harvey says, we will also have Skype set up at the CIDX barbecue. If people want to join in during the day, look for me on Skype on Saturday, August 18. Now that is interesting. That is very interesting. With a Skype setup. I'll ask you a few questions about that, Sheldon, on Sunday morning. Just out of curiosity, how we're gonna do that. Could be something interesting. Richard Cook, XPA2 strong in the UK. Bobby says XPA2 is weak where he is. PLF Radio is very strong there. No message today. It was very, very strong. I gotta tell you that. So, Louis, nice to have you on board. How many ghosts have you found with your machine? Ghost in the Machine, the police. I love that. Man. 12217 next for XPA2. So we'll set up there. Here we go. So you're watching the Shortwave show. What is that thing? What thing? What thing are you talking about? There needs to be more explanation of what thing. There's too many things here. So you're watching the Shortwave show from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Hope you're having fun. And it's a great time to, we're having a lot of fun here. The thing displaying the image. If you're talking about the screen, that's a radio. It's actually tuned to a shortwave frequency. That's pretty much it. Apart from that, there's a time. Pretty much anything else. Over there is the what do you mean by ghosts? What else do we have? Okay, one of the questions people asked was about where to hear international broadcasts. You know, when the first thing you get a radio, you're like, where do I listen to things? I don't know where, which is totally normal. And the shortwave spectrum is pretty big. So one of the questions that people ask is, where do I listen to international broadcasts? Um, International broadcast bands are, you know, most 99% of shortwave stations are within what we call international broadcast bands. So if you know where they are, you know when to listen or where to listen to. Also, understanding which ones are better in the nighttime and which ones are better in the daytime is another thing. So if we go through them, the most popular ones, okay, if we start with the most popular bands for international broadcasts, okay, first of all, for daytime listening, some of the most popular ones are 25 meters. That's 11, you know, roughly 11,500. Because here I have the official range, but their stations are out of band. 11,500 to 12,200. So 11,500 to 12,200. In there, it's a 25-meter band. Some stuff in the daytime. 19 meters, 15,100 to 15,900. Okay? Here it ends at 15,600, but we'll put it larger. 15,100 to 15,800. That's mostly a daytime band also. Much more daytime. You know, 25 meters is a mix of daytime and nighttime or evening. 22 meters, 13,500 to 13,800 is also a nice place to go. And 60 meters, 17,500 to 17,900. Now there are higher ones, 13 meters and 11 meters. They are not used much, and with the low solar flux right now, you don't hear much there, but those daytime frequencies of 21,450 to 21,850 and 25,600 to 26,100. 25,600 to 26,100. I haven't heard a station in the 11-meter band, and I haven't seen anyone being there in a long time. There are stuff to listen to, I gotta say, but you know, these are bands from the past, almost. 13 meters, there's a little bit of stuff in there, 21,450, 28,850. Now I said daytime, and it's very tricky because shortwave isn't officially black and white. It's not day or night. It's day, sometimes partly night, sometimes depending on summer or winter or, you know, what season it is where you are. That's a very, very delicate thing. So I said daytime for these frequencies, but honestly, there also could be evening or, you know, or even nighttime, depending if it's summer. For example, I said daytime for 22 meters, 13,600 to 13,900. But, you know, at around 11 p.m. local, which is nighttime, which is 0300, 13,840 I hear in the summertime. Right now I hear a great signal from Radio New Zealand. It's coming in really well. So, you know, it's so it's not pitch dark, pitch black, pitch white, and whatever. It's you listen in all the time. There more activity in the daytime, but doesn't mean there's nothing at night. Actually, there's a lot of things. And, you know, honestly, 13 meters, 22 meters and 25 meters, 13,600 to 13,500 to 13,900, and 11,500 to 12,200. They're almost 24-hour bands. They are kind of those hybrid bands that are almost all the time. Evening, nighttime, popular bands, 9,300, I would say even 9,200 to 9,900. Let's do 9,200 to 10,000 kilohertz. 31-meter band, 41-meter band, 7,100 to 7,800 kilohertz. 49-meter band, that's very nighttime. That's mostly nighttime, but you know, there could be some local stations. Like here we have CFRX Toronto, I would hear in the mid-afternoon usually, in the middle of the day, but because it's close. 49 meters, 5950 to 50, let's put it 5700 to 6300 kilohertz. Anyways, what I'm saying now, I'm saying it a little fast, but I will be posting videos, kind of refresh videos on the channel in the next few days, talking about the different bands where you listen to stuff. And there's other bands like 60 meters, 75 meters, and Europe, 75 meters is one of them, or popular band, 3800 to 4000. 60 meters, mix of tropical stuff and all sorts of stuff in there. So, tune in. But if you know where to tune in for the international broadcast band, my main recommendation would be don't think too much in terms of day or night, even though there are some differences. Just tune around the international broadcast band and you'll be surprised at any time of day or night what you can catch and what you can hear. So, it's one of the things. And a lot of people, don't know where to listen to. And that was the biggest, I will thank the, honestly, I will thank Radio Shack and Realistic for the manual that came with my DX100 receiver back in the 80s, because it was amazingly good at explaining where you listen to different things. So it helped me understand where I could listen to international broadcasts. It helped me understand where to listen to utility stations. And that was a great starter book, honestly. I could understand where I could listen to stuff. And that was really, really helpful, especially in the time when there was no guy like me live on the internet talking to the world and explaining stuff. Or just internet resource of what you want to learn. So I got to say one thing, it's just amazing for that. Okay, what else do we have? What else do we have? MEC says, what is the frequency of the Russian number station? The next one is 12217. So I don't know if I'm going to hear it. 12217 is the next time. So I don't know when it's going to be, but I haven't heard anything if it's supposed to be then. Hey, Matt Radio DXer, nice to have you on board. Nice to have you on here. What else do we have? Bill Ross says, just a quick note to say hello. I enjoy your channel and find your videos entertaining and informative. Thank you very much, Bill. Always nice to, it's part of the thing here. It's part of the reason why I want to, continue here, to help out everyone. Oxford Shortwave Log. Nice to have you on board. It's been a while. Be cool. Gary Horben says, question, is listening times on all bands controlled by UTC time? UTC is the main time reference that we use for a very simple reason, is that if we would use local time, we would have to scramble through, okay, Radio Japan is going to transmit at 6 p.m. Tokyo time. So what is that time in the eastern part of North America or in the UK? Or so pretty much all that's going on in the shortwave spectrum, even utility stations will use UTC, or sometimes they call it Zulu. If you listen to Volnets, for example, like if you listen to Gander Radio giving out the weather, often they'll say, time 03 Zulu. Well, Zulu and UTC is the same thing, okay? Zulu is more of a amateur radio type term. It's more of a term, kind of slang used basically to identify UTC, but everything, pretty much everything, there's exception to the rules, and there are a few things that don't abide by the rules. But most of everything on shortwave will be in UTC, Universal Time, because it's easy. Universal Time never changes. As long as you have a clock in Universal Time, you know when to listen to whatever your local time. And I always say, that's something that I always say to everybody. You've got a radio, if you got a shortwave radio, for example, one of the things that a lot of people do with their shortwave radio when it has a clock, it's always, oh, I'm going to put my local time. And my recommendation is always don't put local time on a shortwave radio. A shortwave radio is universal time. Put that clock in universal time. So like that, your radio, when you listen to the world, is already in the reference of UTC. It's already there to basically help you out. If you put it local time, what happens is that local time, you have to always think about, okay, it's so right now it's 5:36 p.m. here in Montreal. Oh, that means we're 4 hours. So it's 9:36 p.m. at Universal. And even though, it's not that difficult to do the translation of time when you know that difference in the time zone, there are times in the year that it can get a little, mixed up. For example, we're in daylight savings time. We're going to have this fall, we're going to get in October, and October was going to happen in November, early November. We're going to change it back to Eastern Standard Time. We're going to remove the daylight savings. We're going to go back 1 hour. And then you get all messed up about, oh yeah, no, we're not 4 hours anymore, we're 5 hours. It gets really, really tricky sometimes. And, it happened to me and it happens to everyone. You sit down one day and somebody says, oh yeah, it's 2,100 hours UTC. And then you realize you don't hear what you want to hear and you're like, oh no, I didn't do that right. It's 2,100 hours UTC. And so by having a UTC clock all the time, and if you listen to the radio, shortwave radio all the time, put your radio's clock in UTC, get yourself a clock that is only UTC. And not only will you have the time, but every time somebody comes over and looks at your clock, they're going to say, why is the clock saying it's 9:37 p.m.? Even though we're at 5:37 p.m. here. It brings another discussion. Because, I get that all the time, especially when I was fixing computers. People are cutting here with their computers, and they're like, why are your clocks at that time? Because they would see that clock, they would see my radio clocks, and it's like, why are they all at that time? It's like, oh, flying stories, universal time. It's an amateur radio stuff. Oh, CB radio. No. Don't mess up. It's not CB radio. It all has to do with, amateur radio, shortwave radio, stuff like that. Phil Hensler, nice to have you here. Always nice to have everybody here. Always nice to have you here, everyone. That's pretty cool. What else do we have? Let's check it out. John Young, scariest was an aerial VHF transmission I heard from a twin beach with a student pilot and engine fire coming to my local airport in a heavy snowstorm. Whoa. That is, that's always cool. Not that it's happening. It's not cool that these things are happening, but it's cool for the listener to have access to that, John. I still remember a couple of years back, I was at Perry Island, and I was at the upper 17 megahertz range. There's the aeronautical band around 17952, something like that. There's one of the aeronautical, and I think it was the Caribbean one. And I still remember, I stumbled across what was regular aeronautical communications. And actually, I have the video on the YouTube channel. If you look at it, you'll see, just search for emergency on my YouTube channel, and you should stumble upon that video. Where, XPA2, Russian number station 12217. not as strong as the 13 megahertz, but still not bad. 12217 upper sideband, XP82 number station. So, anyways, the transmission that I had received was a guy was having a heart attack on board, and they were actually phone patching with the doctor that was giving instructions to the crew on the plane on what to do. You're in the middle of some activity. I remember that one was a long time ago, but there used to be a Sunday night net that actually Sheldon was part of, and I think it was the net controller. I think Sheldon was the net controller, and it was on a local 2-meter repeater, and it was like the Sunday night shortwave net or something like that, radio listeners net. I remember one time while that was happening, somebody said, "Hey, something's happening on one frequency," and I think it was like 5616 or something like that. And we started hearing communications, and I still remember that, of a boat on fire, and they were actually having helicopters. It was just off the coast of like the east coast off of like Maine or something. And they were actually sending helicopters and trying to get the people out of the boat on fire live. We were like, wow, this is happening now. This is live situations. And it's the stuff that you don't hear on the news. Stuff that is just life, and it's like maybe not important enough to make it to the news bulletin. But we're at the forefront of all of that with our radios. And even today, there's still a lot of that happening. You just got to listen in and listen regularly. And at some point, you get all of that. What else do we have? Ravelda65, nice to have you on board. What else do we have here? Anybody else? Andy Coley. Yeah, Zulu is a military. The military will use Zulu, which is Z-U-L-U, I believe. Zulu. Which is easier because, you gotta... one of the reasons of Zulu is also because it's easier than, UTC or Universal Time. But, Cosmic Lettuce. There is only one time, and it's right now. So enjoy it while everything's happening here. Revelda65 says, has anyone picked up his SDR Play Duo? Just got it a few weeks ago and love it. SDR Uno is great software. Cool. What else do we have? Yeah, in the UK it's easier because in the winter at least you're on UTC. Take care of PLF Radio. Always nice to have you here. Velda 65. Nice to have all of you here. XDDX for Keegan. Nice to have you on board. Mid-90s. Wow. It's about mid-80s here. Mid to upper 80s. What is it? My thermometer says 33, which would technically put it in the high 80s, almost 90. But Man Reader DXer says just received XP82 with his XH Data D808 outdoors in the whip antenna. Wow, cool. Really cool. Really nice. Really nice. Bill Ross says, back in the day, I used to hear some interesting radio telephone calls from commercial and military ships. Oh, that was thought. I remember that time. I remember that time when there was a lot of ship to short phone patches on boats. And I remember going through the different bands trying to find something I could listen to. Because one of the biggest problems with the phone to shore communications is that there were so many languages that it was actually difficult to hear an English or French language transmission on the phone patches. But it was a hell of a lot of fun. I remember going through and listening to these phone calls from, these boats. And I remember one that I heard, and it was like, okay, the guy is like, with his mistress on a boat in a cruise or something. And he's like calling his wife, saying, yeah, it's boring. Yeah, right. So, Good much. Nice to have you here from Alberta, Canada. Yes, the BBC will always call it GMT. That is true. The BBC always says GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. It has to be GMT. Absolutely, it is GMT. They always say GMT. That was kind of I remember when a lot of shortwave stations were still using GMT rather than UTC. And some were using Zulu. And you just got to understand, well, GMT, UTC, and Zulu is the same thing. Just don't mind. They're the same time. There's no problem there. It's just like, okay, you gotta understand. Okay, what else do we have? Thanks for the donation, Brian Payne. Nice to have support. It's pretty cool. So, there's a lot of stuff. To listen in. Scott Robson, hello there. Nice to have you on board. Let's how about we take a look at the 25 meter band and up and see what we can hear. Anything interesting in here? There's something on 11.610. So 11.610, it's not very strong. I'm getting Madagascar World Voice, the Light of Life. This is Mandarin, so it's from Chinese to West Europe, and it's from Madagascar Relay. So we're hearing Madagascar on 11.610 in Mandarin right now. So I'm receiving about S9, a little bit more than S9. So that's one of the stations right now. Let's check out what else do we have. Richard Cook's got 11.610 week. Okay. So what else after that? Let's hear on that frequency. Let's check it out. Something there. I don't know what it is. Okay, apart from that, we've got a DRM. There's a big DRM signal on 11.650. Not very strong. Radio fan at Cuba, 11.760. In Spanish. 11.760 in Spanish. Yeah, I believe 11.660 French is China Radio International, if I'm not mistaken, Richard. I got a very faint signal. I could see the line, but it's not very strong. I should try it though. Close to that DRM thing. Yeah, it's not very strong, but it's there. 11.660. Hey, Syrian Willow, nice to have you here. And I do believe that 11.660 is China Radio in French, if I'm not mistaken. China Radio International French from the Kashi transmitter site, up to 2230 UT. This one usually gets better as the summer moves on. You know, we're like mid July now. Mid August, this will be much stronger. I'll be able to listen to it probably like mid August, in September until the frequency changes. It's one of those frequencies that usually gets better for me as time moves on. Um, Keegan says 4 seconds delay. Not bad. Not bad. Gary Orban's got 11787. What are you hearing on that frequency, Gary? David. Okay. David Porch, nice to have you here. Cosmic Lettuce, 32 seconds delay here. Well, there's more buffering there. More buffering where you are. Let me see. It says 9 videos on your shortwave catches from whatever park you went to. Yeah, and there's more to come. I actually have I took about 10 videos, 10 or 12 videos. So there will be a few more coming, MEC, in the weekend. It's just that I took them with my S9 Plus phone. And what's happening is that the S9 Plus actually takes 4K videos. So the S9 Plus takes 4K videos. So they are tremendously huge to upload to YouTube. But at the same time, I don't want to take them down, because I don't want to kind of put them in just HD or something, because I'm thinking, well, it's not a bad thing to have a few 4K videos on YouTube. And if some people have a 4K TV, yeah, they'll be able to stream the 4K version of these videos, which is cool, There's not a lot of 4K stuff on YouTube. So I don't want to put them in just 1080p or something, because yeah, they'd be much easier for me to upload. But to give you guys an idea, I uploaded a 5-minute video, 4K video, and I looked at how much data it actually used. A 5-minute 4K video is 3 gigabytes in upload, and it's just 5 minutes. Totally nuts. Of course, YouTube compresses it and makes it smaller, so even if you're in 4K, it's not going to be a 3 gigabyte per 5 minutes. It's going to be smaller because of the compression they use, but it's just nuts. Phil Hensler says 11610 is weak in Buffalo. Bill Ross, with one of these loop antennas that run for around 150 US would help. Magnetic loops are usually pretty good, and usually really lower the noise level. So depending on what model you're actually looking at, the one I am looking at that I'm close to buying, honestly, I might buy it before the winter sets in, is the W6 LVP loop from the United States. The reason why it's less expensive and as good as the Walbrook. Also, the return policy and everything is kind of, pretty cool. And a lot of people that I know that bought it say that after the service, after they purchased, the guy is like super cool. And a lot of people say, well, I had this problem, or I had that thing missing, or whatever. And the guy responded quickly and was there to help. So I might actually, before we get into, I would say before September or October around, W6 LVP loop probably will be heading my way. There'll be, of course, setup videos, review videos. Hopefully, I am really, really hoping that it will lower my noise level and give me back a little more of some DXing. One of the biggest annoyances I got here is my noise level. And I have to say, I honestly sometimes don't turn on the radio or turn it off quite quickly, because I just get mad as hell of all the noise. You know, yesterday at the park, I was far from houses. I can tell you guys, the noise level in the radio was zero. I would hear tons of things I don't hear here. I mean, the BBC on 15400 was coming in really well from Ascension Islands. It was easy copy, easy to listen to. I barely hear it here. Not because signal's in there. The noise level is as high as signal. I can't copy it. I'm a little bit going crazy about it. What else do we have? I will absolutely do a review. I will have a full review of the W6WP loop, and it will be and we got to do a fair review. I mean, magnetic loops are known to lower noise, but it's not just that. They're supposed to be good at reception and everything. So one of the things that is important to do as a review is not just base the review on the noise, but also on the quality of the reception, because there are some areas where lowering that noise is very difficult. So I mean, McGlone, nice to have you here. Nice to have you on board. What else do we have? What else do we have? Take care, driver film Shortwave. Always nice to have you here. What else do we have? B, hey there. Hello from Scotland. Have you considered the Texan S2000 for sheer convenience on your live shows, Joe? It's a bargain, buddy. Not really, because actually here the ones that I've seen are kind of expensive. I find it expensive for what it is. If I get one at a decent price, maybe, yeah, I wouldn't say no. But I have to make choices right now in where I spend the money. So it's going to be I think the next logical spending that I have to do is on an antenna, a loop antenna, to try to lower my noise, and we'll see after that. And these are expensive things, and life is expensive, and it's expensive to live here. So all of that together, it makes it, you got to make choices. If I'd be a millionaire, I'd have all of that already. But if I'd be a millionaire, I would have to rent a warehouse just for my radios, but that's another story. Andrea the Extra says, I have found out this week that some of the noise of my SDR is caused by my computer. Must be the USB connection acting as part of the antenna. Yeah, that is something that is often the case. When I started playing around with software-defined receivers, one of the first things that I did was, unplug the USB cable and power it from other sources, or just like use a laptop, remove the laptop's adapter and just run it on batteries. And there you notice that there's a lot of noise that can be induced by the USB connector. Here I have found out because my Fedri is plugged through a Ethernet cable, a 50 feet Ethernet cable into my router. I've noticed that my router does actually create a little bit of noise. So some of those lines are actually my router doing noise. But it's kind of difficult, and I tried. One thing that I did try was roll the Ethernet cable through a ferret, a Torrid. So I had this Torrid that I did like several turns around. It didn't really change anything. It seems that the noise is kind of there. So I don't know. I'll see what else I could do, but there are some noise coming from these devices for sure. So going down slowly. Yeah, exactly. As Oxford Shortwave Log says, the only way to improve reception is to improve the signal to noise ratio. And that is, that is the thing. And getting outdoors does help a lot. Gary Horriban says he's using an Alpha FMG band, also used AHF V5 made by Diamond. St. Joseph 74, nice to have you here. Passed his amateur extra exam. Woohoo! K5BGL/AE. Nice to have you here, and congratulations. Congratulations. Pretty cool. Gary Harmon says 40-meter pileup on 7140. Pretty cool. Richard Cook's got Cumin Laney on 10715. Let's try it out. Oh, it's pretty good here, actually. It's actually very strong here. So that's the digital hash of the number station from Cuba. Uno, dos, tres, ocho, siete. So this is Cuban Lady. Pretty good signal here. One of the best signals I've heard in a long time for a Cuban Lady. 10715. Oxford Shortwave Log says a computer with SSD rather than mechanical hard drive noise will also usually generate less noise. Huh, interesting. Richard Cook says 2 days ago was strong on 10715. Yeah, it depends on propagation, eh? All depends on the propagation. Pretty interesting stuff. So what else is there in the 25-meter band? Let's check that out. So I was at 11. What's here? We've got Radio Nacional Amazonas, the Brazilian station in Portuguese. Radio Nacional Amazonas in Brazil, 11780, pretty good. I've seen it better, but it's not bad. So, we've got Brazil, 11780, Radio Nacional Amazonas, not too bad. What else do we have? Richard Cook's got Voice of Korea signing on in Spanish on 15245. As Bobby Burgess says, English or get out. Pretty much. B says, chill out, Jill. Do what you are best at from the top of your head. Give us your thoughts on one of those nice portables behind you. If you're talking about the ones that are here, the Grundig G5 is my favorite portable of all. I do need to have it cleaned because the rubberized finish is horrible, and you guys can actually see it very well in the videos I posted this week. So I looked at Hammerhead 88. Tom Styles has a video on how to clean it, and I will do so, and we'll actually hope that it gets really good because this is crazy horrible and it's kind of sticky. Grundig G5, the best portable I've ever used. It's an amazing radio. Ethon Grundig Traveler 3. Pretty amazing. I like it. Has no SSB, but it's a good radio. One of the unique Grundig receivers or Eton receivers. Little door here. Great radio and has an amazing RDS functionality to look at all the different RDS digital stuff that you can get from a FM station. Pretty amazing. It's no USB, so you gotta know that. This, one of the great receivers out there, the Degen DE1103, the original one. One of the first, I think this is like the second, I think this is like the second receiver I've ever purchased off of eBay. That was a little more expensive. And it is still among some of the best receivers. It's very unique in the way that it's done, but it's definitely one of the best receivers out there, the DE1103 receiver. With that weird display, the only weird thing is the fact that it's like, it tries to imitate, a analog dial with the display, which is kind of unique. And it's kind of weird because the number buttons are not in a keypad style like a phone pad, but really a range, like just a line of numbers. You got to get used to it. But these are great receivers. I really love them. And Grundig G5 has a little spot, a soft spot in my heart. I can tell you that. Vianney, Paul the cat is in the living room, and I don't know why he's not coming over. He's just sleeping under. You know what? He's very lazy because it's warm, so he's kind of lazier than usual. But he's in the living room, kind of just lying down. And it's funny because usually when I talk, he comes over. The door is kind of is open. He usually comes over, but I don't know. He didn't say hello today. And it's been a while. I know you guys haven't seen him in a while. He hasn't appeared on the live shows much in the last few weeks. So hopefully it's gonna change. Yeah, and 15245 and 13760. Even yesterday, you know what, Richard? I was at the low noise level. I tuned 13760 and 15245 around this time, and it very weak signal. Almost nothing there. And well, I'm here for that, B. It's just you guys want to hear, want to view something, whatever. I'm here for that. Yeah, Bill Ross, the Grundig G5, also known as the Ethon E5. They're the same radios. Great portable. Anybody that gets one of those, you are getting one of the best portables ever. I purchased this one for I think $99. A long time ago. I've had this. I can't remember when I bought this. This is at least 10 years old, if not more. I'm trying to remember. Wow, when did I purchase the Grundig G5? I bought it at I think I bought it when the source were still called, there were still Radio Shacks. I think it was still Radio Shack. I'm trying to remember, but I think it was still Radio Shack back then. Long time ago. Long time ago. But you know, if I look at the other portables, there's a lot of great receivers in what I have here. You know, Texan PL680 is a good radio. PL600 is not bad at all. 680 is better. Stangen ATS 505 is not bad. Trying to look here. But, you know, Grundig G5. If I had just one, Grundig G5 would be the one. Madrid DXer says, I was very lucky to get the PLL version of the Degen D1103. Best thing is able to use long wire, not only for shortwave band, but with the medium wave and long wave. So you like the, yeah, there's the new DSP version that people are complaining about that isn't as good. Madrid DXer says, Paul, come on over. Yeah, pretty much, Vianney. He's just sleeping. Phil Hensler says, my best portable is an Eton satellite. Brandon Klons, 9830, Voice of Turkey. Yeah, probably. Let's check it out. 9830. Yeah, Voice of Turkey.
Voice of Turkey has a big focus on reducing detention in your area. And technology weekly of all media brought to you by the Voice of Turkey. Now music star on the Voice of Turkey. Song named Hacıbay'ın Aras'ta.
So that one's good. 9760, is that Radio Romania 9760?
Any pleasures from Balloon, Nickel Family Holidays to Adventure, exclusive getaways. The world we live in is full of challenges, from migration to climate change, economic crisis and international terrorism. All of these issues and more are discussed in the Future Start today on Thursday. Stay tuned to Armenia International during weekends for the latest from the world of Armenian arts and culture, including reports from ongoing festivals and events, as well as interviews with artists, writers, and...
So Radio Romania 9760 and Voice of Turkey 9830. Pretty good signal. Romania stronger, of course. Zach Antle, so you missed me getting naked. Then there were like a bunch of women naked too. And that's all you missed on the channel. Kidding. Nice to have you back. I'm pretty sure you'd rather have the girls naked than me, but that's another story. We're not gonna go there. Madrid DX says, from what I've been told, the DSP version does not allow the long wave, medium wave external antenna trick, and it's not as sensitive. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people kind of not liking the new DSP because, you know, of course, when people saw the new one with DSP, the digital signal processing stuff, of course, you know, there's always the excitement, oh, DSP, there's a DSP version. It must be better. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. And, you know, unfortunately, in the shortwave world, and like in everything, you know, when you purchase a computer, it's the same thing. There's too much mumbo jumbo things that are said that this is 4 gigahertz and this is that and this is that. The reality of the real world is not that. You know, when I was fixing computers, people are saying to me, well, I saw that computer with 2.4 gigahertz and that one at 3 gigahertz, and so I chose the 3 gigahertz, it must be faster. It's like, no, it's more complex than that. And I'd rather have a 2.4 that has a dedicated graphics card and you know, there's many other things than a 3 gigahertz that has a Intel crappy, you know, graphics adapter that shares memory and so on. It's very complex. It is very complex, and unfortunately on the shortwave radio, they use the same type of selling thing. They try to lure you towards one in particular with, you know, oh, this as DSP, digital signal processing. That's the latest thing. No, it's not because it's DSP that it's good. And it unfortunately, there's too many of these things that are sold because of some guy that has a big mouth and is able to say, "Oh, you get that the DSP version. That's what you want." I'll always remember at Radio Shack, I had purchased I think it was the Pro 26 scanner, which was the first one that Radio Shack sold that went up to 1.3 gigahertz. And I remember that was the worst piece of scanner crap that I had ever purchased. I had purchased many scanners from Radio Shack, and until then, they were all pretty good performance. And when I got the Pro 26, for the first time I had the scanner from hell. It overloaded all the time on everything. It was impossible to use. It was a crazy piece of crap. It was very expensive. And I remember the guy looking at me and saying, "Oh, you want the Pro 26? And it goes to 1.3 gigahertz. Yeah, okay. You should have said, "Don't buy the Pro 26. It's crappy in reception. And who cares if it goes to 1.3 gigahertz? There's nothing to listen to." You know, it's all trying to sell something using numbers. But in reality, it's a more complex thing. A shortwave radio is a purchase that is a complex purchase. You get these radios from everywhere, from China, and I mean, you know, there's some great stuff coming out of China. But there's a lot of crap. For one good radio out of China, there's probably 25 crappy radios. The thing is, think about the guy that doesn't know anything, and he says, "Oh, a world band radio, listen to the world." And he buys the one that's the crappy one. I don't think he'll ever buy a shortwave radio again for the rest of his life. And that's where, you know, a channel like this, and that's where people like us help out, because we are able to say, okay, if you got one radio to buy that one. Buy that model. That model is great. Oh no, don't buy that one. That's the crappy one. And unfortunately, most people, and I don't know about you guys, but out of curiosity, I got a question. Your first radio purchase, your first ever radio you got, did somebody point you towards that and say, "Buy that because it's good"? Or it was just like, "Oh, that looks cool, I want that"? Mine was, "That looks cool, I want that. That looks great. It says, listen to the world." And it was my Realistic DX100. Now, the Realistic DX100 was okay. Then in reality, when you compare it to, you know, a lot of radios, it's rather crappy as a radio, honestly. But, you know, I was fortunate to be in a time where signals were easy to listen to. So it compensated for the crappiness of the radio. So, I don't know. Did you guys first ever purchase a receiver? Was it you decided that looks cool, looks good? Did you research and find that that was the good one? Did somebody point you towards buying that one because it was a good one? That's an interesting question. So mine was, I didn't know anything. I was 13 years old. The Realistic DX100 looked just so cool. And I got that. And that's what I started with. Terry Cook, nice to have you here, says, I'm a little far back, guys, so I'll try to go as fast as I can. I lost his post. Here I'm coming, here I come, here I come. Okay, so Terry Cook was somewhere. Oh, here it is. Sad that so much of the utilities that used to be on shortwave have migrated to satellite or media. Yeah, there's a lot of utilities that have gone, but I can tell you honestly from my own personal listening, there's still a lot of utility stuff to listen to. It is pretty amazing the amount of utility stuff. And it is pretty amazing the amount of utility stuff that actually, even after taking a break off of shortwave, are actually using shortwave in a different way. You'd be very, very surprised at the amount of utilities still on the air. There's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Maybe more than you think, Terry. So Richard Cook says Romanian English on 9760. Keegan says, for Shortwave Portable, I have a Radio Shack DX402. Wow. These are nice little radios. Vianney says, it would be interesting if you gave a thumbs up for the show. We are 66 live, but there's only 40 thumbs up. Yep. No, Voice of Turkey is still there. I can't tell you if I said it was gay. Well, if you're gay and you wanted to see me naked, you know, that's okay. I mean, I got no problem with that. I'm not a guy that has problem with anything of that, so, you know. Rental Clones. Yep. 9830. They do have some weird problems sometimes. Voice of Turkey sometimes even, you know, always is almost always late. Instead of starting at, you know, 2200, like 2205, 2204, or something like that. Hirofumi Yokoyama. Welcome aboard. Good morning from, I guess, Japan. Mandarin DX just says, Shell, don't start up on the PC stuff, or you know, I will turn this into a tech show. This is not only the only stuff customers get wrong about PC specs, though. Oh no, there are tons of things that people get wrong. Richard Cook's got RWM, time signal from Moscow on 9996 and on 4996. I don't know if you saw the video, and there's another one coming. And I heard RWM yesterday. While I was at the park. Oh, guys! There's somebody coming here to say hi. Da, 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 da. Mr. Paul the cat saying hi to everybody. Hey. Mr. Paul's here. So I guess we had to ask for his name. Mr. Paul the cat is here. So how you doing, man? How you doing? He's been sleeping almost all day. It's kind of warm. When it's hot, he just sleeps all the time. So hey, it's been a while since you've been on camera. Let me just check if you're good on camera. So I'm not sure the camera's all right for that. So let's check it out. Let's check it out. What about that? Yeah, this is a phone. You like my phone? You don't care about it, actually. Man. So, let's just check out if Mr. Paul shows up. Oh, yeah. Well, he's just below the camera here, but I won't play with it much. So, Mr. Paul the cat says hi to everybody. Yeah. Saying hi. So yesterday I heard RWM Moscow time signal really well, even though it was weak. It was really nice. Okay, what else do we have? Mandarin DX says the first shortwave radio I bought after being recommended was the Ethon E5. All the radios before that were gifts from my parents. Well, gifts, you know, you gotta use them and be happy. You know, you can't complain about a gift. Honestly, you really can't complain about a gift. So what else do we have? B says, a pet peeve of mine is the rubbish being broadcast from CRI. They are gigantic, but the content is rubbish. What are your thoughts? You know, China Radio International could be so much better than that, honestly. It could be much, much more interesting. And you know, when I get into that thing that, you know, when they broadcast that, when that learning is fun and fun is learning or whatever, and they start with these expressions, and it's like, what the hell are you doing broadcasting that on shortwave? I don't care. And I mean, I understand I'm not target audience for a show like that, but China Radio could be more interesting, talk more about China globally, and I think they could do so much better. I have to say, China Radio International is often boring. often boring, and it could do much better. And I regret what I miss when it was called Radio Peking, and it was broadcasting real Chinese communist stuff. It was actually more interesting in the 80s, even though much more difficult to listen to, much more difficult to receive. But it was much more interesting in the 80s than it is today. China Radio International today is too mainstream. They kind of fired all the Chinese announcers, and they kind of hired these American guys that speak really good English, rather than having some kind of Chinese announcer. I don't know. It's so weird. They're trying to be American. They're not trying to be Chinese for some reason. Bill Ross, other than a cheap portable world band, my first real one was the Realistic DX150. That was one popular model at the time. I remember a lot of people having that. David Arden, the first radio I bought, I can remember, was the DX302. It was available when I wanted it. Fred had one. Wish I had gotten something better. Yeah, you know what? I had the DX302. My next step after the DX100 was the DX302. The reason why my next step was there is that one evening we went to a flea market, me and my dad, and there was a guy selling a DX302 for $75. And my dad said, "Is that a radio like you have?" I said, "Yeah, and it has a digital display, which the DX100 did not have." So he said, "Huh." My dad looked at me and said, "Do you have any money on you or something?" And I said, "Well, I've at home I got $50 that I've kept these little amounts here and there that people are giving me at Christmas and so on." I said, "I got $50 at home." So my dad said, "Okay, I'll put the 25 and you give me the $50 when you get home. It's yours." So I said, cool. I was happy to go home with a nice big radio, because it does look cool. The DX302 actually looks very cool as a radio. And so got home, was happy. I had a digital display. It was really better in the drift wise. It drifted a little bit, but not that much. And actually after half an hour, it didn't drift a lot. And I thought, well, that must be a really big step up to the DX100, which it was not that much. It was better than the DX100, but it wasn't that good. And that's the big problem. But I didn't know anything of that back then at all. Randall Claude, any stations in 8 megahertz band? Yeah, there's a lot. It's utility stuff. There's a lot of stuff there. In 8 megahertz, you'll hear, you can hear some weather fact stuff. You can hear some, in the upper part of 8 megahertz, you'll hear some aeronautical communications. There's all sorts of stuff in there in 8 megahertz. You just got to tune regularly, and you'll be surprised at the amount of signals and things that you might actually have in that band, Randall. At least CRI is on shortwave, and that, David Arden, you got a point there. At least China radio's there, and that's one of the important parts. But still, could be better. MEC says, my first shortwave radio was the Realistic DX160 because the Radio Shack catalogs say it was great, but my second was a Sony 2010, and I researched it using the RDS white paper, and lots of reviews loved it. Sony 2010, that you must have seen that the Sony 2010 was amazing compared to the DX160 probably. But yeah. My third real radio, that one was researched. And I had my first job, so I had a lot more money. And my third radio, I looked at the reviews, and my third radio was a Kenwood R5000, and that was a kick-ass radio. I believe Sheldon's still using his, and it's a kick-ass radio. It was an amazing radio. I had it for 20 years. And it actually worked almost around the clock for 20 years. It was an amazing receiver. Bill Ross says, I regret trading away my Panasonic RF 2800. I remember it has a great portable. I had a Panasonic RF 2800 also that I sold for, I believe, $50 at a garage sale. I wish I would never have done that, ever. I couldn't tell you. Now, the DX160 wasn't that bad, but it was an analog radio, but it's not that it was bad. From what I heard, it was not that bad. John O'Connor, nice to have you here, says he's got the Grundig G6 Aviator Buzz Aldrin radio. Cool. Yeah, Sony 2010 is an amazing radio. It's the same, by the way, for those who wonder, as the 2001D. They had two different models, two different model numbers, but they were the same radio, depending if it was Europe and North America. Oxford Shortwave Log. I bought a Sangean ATS 803A back in '89 and thought it was crap. Then after 25 years in the garden shed, I repaired it and attached a long wire, and it rocked until it finally corroded away. You know, our the view of what a radio is, good or bad, is interesting. Through the 90s, I purchased a lot of shortwave radios from, say, 1990 to the year 2000. I probably went through at least 5 or 6 different shortwave portables. I did not have at that point a lot of radios, but I went through a Grundig Yacht Boy 400, which was good, great radio. And I sold it to my uncle that passed away of cancer several years ago. And I wish I could have had the radio back, but you know, you're not going to go to the funeral and saying, "Excuse me, can I have my Grundig radio back?" I don't think you're going to do that, you know. I did think about it though. I'm bad, you know. I'm totally bad for that, because I was at the funeral. I remember being at the funeral. I was like, "Oh man, that Grundig radio is never going to be used again," you know. I remember thinking that, which is completely horrible. You know, at your uncle's funeral, all you think about is the shortwave radio that won't be used anymore. But anyways, you know, if I knew, I would not have sold it. I sold it because I had purchased another portable, and I thought, well, you know, I don't need that one. I got another one. But yeah, it was a great one. Take care, Gary Harbin. Nice to have you on board. Tomorrow, 2000 hours UTC. Hey, Fabrice Simonet, bienvenue. Hello there, nice to have you here. Oh, man. Fabrice doing preparation for a family camping trip. Wow. Well, of course. You got to bring your wife to this show, and I'm going to explain to her why you need 4 radios, 2 antennas, and a pack of batteries, a big pack of batteries, and a lot of time alone. Because you want to listen to something. Come on. You know, if you go camping as a shortwave listener, 2 things you need. Your tent, your radios. Well, tent, food, and radios. The three essentials. But don't forget the batteries. So everybody reacting to Paul the Cat, which is still here. He's kind of just there and saying, hey, hello. Cosmic Lettuce, happiness is a kitty on the lap. Yeah, I like my Paul. Chris Freitas says, my first radio, I got the World Star WG6300 from a radio because it looked cool and I liked that it had a ton of bands. It wasn't until months later that I learned about shortwave. Admittedly, shortwave wasn't a factor in my first radio, but it definitely was when the World Star broke and got the DX397 on my 4th birthday. You know what? I think a lot of our purchases of radios, when we didn't know much about what we would buy, were based on the coolness of what it looked like. Honestly, how many of you guys, knowing nothing, would choose one of the coolest radios, the coolest looking radios, over whatever else, just because, well, that one looks so hot, it has tons of buttons, and the dials, and the display, and that looks cool, I want that. And you can end up with a crappy radio because it just looks cool. That's it, you know. Oh man, Kevin Y, nice to have you here. I see the boss is in charge. Am I going to try for RWM tonight? Let's try 9996, which was probably the best. Ow! It just put his claw in my, ouch, my leg. 9996, let's try RWM. I have the impression I hear a little something in the noise, but I'm not sure. Yesterday I heard 14996 also. And there I got nothing. 9996 is probably the best. 4996 is still too early here. There's kind of a tone. If it's a continuous tone, I think I hear it just barely. Maybe the excellent for those radios I got as gifts were excellent. Grundig Yacht Boy, Philips shortwave radios. Oh, these were good. Really lucky at the time. We're still at school. Wow, that's good. Yeah, price was a big thing, you know. I mean, I didn't have, you know, in the 80s, I didn't have $300 to shut on the radio. I can tell you that. David in Barcelona says his first shortwave radio was a Sony ICF Shortwave 11 that I was allowed to buy about 8 years ago. Still keep it, although now it is a mix of two ICF Shortwave 11s, as 1 year after buying it, I accidentally dropped it. Oops. Oops. Bill Ross says, I remember getting a QSL from Radio Peking in a large envelope with lots of propaganda. My mother was freaked out because it was U.S. Customs stamps on it. She was sure I would end up on the FBI list. Well, I can tell you one thing, Bill. I always asked myself, back in the 80s, when I was actually writing to all these communist countries, I always thought that the Canadian government somewhere must have had a file on me saying this guy communicates with Eastern Bloc countries and Russia. I remember getting an envelope from Syria and having to sign for it at the post office, which I found very awkward. Why the hell do I have to sign for an envelope coming from Syria? That was kind of weird. And you know, that kind of upped my thinking about it, saying, did somebody force me to sign to get it so that they can kind of prove that I'm I don't know, I'm a bad guy, a bad citizen, communicating with communist people? I don't know, crazy, pretty crazy. Vianney Arsenault says, the only receiver radio I had was an FRG-7 a long time ago, but since 1998 I had the privilege of being an amateur radio operator, so I'm using an ICOM and user transceivers. But the FRG-7 is a good radio, so you started off with actually a great receiver. Terry Cook, my first portable was also a Sony ICF 2010. Cool. John O'Connor, Texan PL660 is my best radio. It is a good radio. You've got a really good radio in there for sure. I can tell you that. On the big Grundig, what is that adapter called again? I might see if they got it on eBay. Are you talking about that? Are you talking that Grundig here? That's behind the flag that I'm. If you're talking about that, there's a SSB box for the big Grundig. You got to search for the SSB module or something. I saw one go through eBay about maybe a month ago, and it was like $300. I'll not pay $300 for an SSB module for my Grundig. I can tell you that. I can tell you that. else do we have? Let's go down. Let's go down. Take care, Phil Hensler. Always nice to have you on board. Always nice to have you on board. Syrian Wallow says, my first radio was from my dad. He gave me an old shortwave, longwave, medium wave portable radio when I was 10 years old. I used it to learn English and to discover the different cultures in my region. Cool. You know, officially, my first radio I've ever had was a multi-band radio that has shortwave on it. Which I didn't know what it was, and it probably is like 1979. You know, it was one of those cheap multi-band radios. I have no idea, and I don't remember. I remember it opened at the top. It had the world map. I just don't remember what it was. I don't remember the brand or anything. And since what's sad is I wish digital cameras existed back then, because, we take pictures of everything today. And, I could see it in the picture, but I don't have anything about that radio that I could today just look at and say, oh wow, that was the radio I had back then. I have no idea, but I know it was one of those cheap multi-band receivers of 1979, 1980, somewhere around there. C. Johnson, nice to have you here. Keegan says ham radio I've listened to is the IC 70706 transceiver. What else do we have? Terry Cook had an old national radio NC 109. It was nice for its time, not portable though. Andrew into the Exorcist says, if I were you, I would have signed those letters at the post office, James Bond. Yeah, that would have been good. James Bond. I can tell you that. It's a Greenwich Satellite Transistor 6001, also known as the Greenwich Satellite 210. If you get one for below $50, I might be tempted, but above $50, no. But it'd be nice to have. I'd be surprised. I'd be amazed to have the Greenwich receiver SSB model for sure. N0HIU likes his Kenwood TS450S for shortwave. It's a good radio. I believe the 450S shares a bit of the receiver in the Kenwood R5000. They're from the same era, something like that. They're close anyways, they're really close. David Arden says, my first, okay, wait, let's go home, okay. What else do we have? David says, actually and arguably, the first shortwave radio I used was the built-in tuner in the Sony CFS W350L boombox we had at home when I was a kid. But on it, I tried to listen to shortwave once that I remember. I will always remember, in the early 90s, I used to go up north with a friend of mine. He had a big boombox. And I believe it was a big Sony boombox. And when he was there, we would, listen to music all the time. But sometimes he would, leave me for, because he had some friends further up north. And what would happen sometimes, he would tell me, oh, I'm going north to my friends. Do you want me to drop you off at the shack up north? And I would always say yes, because I enjoyed going there. It was like middle of the woods. It was like you're alone with nature. It was great. There was a lake. It was a beautiful place. No electricity, so you had to cook your food on the fire and stuff like that. But I totally enjoyed that. I mean, I found that to be cool. So when he would go up to his friends, he would always tell me, "You want me to drop you off at the shack?" And I said, "Yeah." I'd go, and I often be there 2 or 3 days alone. And it was cool because he always left the boombox there. That was kind of our boombox to listen to music. So when he was up to his friends, well, one of the things that the boombox had was, of course, I had noticed it had the shortwave bands on it. He never tuned the shortwave bands, but of course, once I was alone, I was like, oh, let's check out the boombox shortwave. And I remember being there on the weekends for a few days and listening to the DX party line on HCJB on the boombox. From what I remember, it was not very sensitive because it received some of the strong signal, but it didn't seem that great. But I remember listening to some shortwave broadcasts on it, and it's like, wow, this is cool. I'm listening to HCJB, or I'm listening to, whatever. And so every time he would drop me off, and he would go up to his friends further up north, well, instead of music, I was listening to shortwave on the boombox. And when he would come back and we'll be together, then we would listen to music. And I would sometimes mention to him, so, well, I'm listening to the world on your boombox. And he's like, oh, really? Catches stations? Yeah, absolutely. Oh, man. B says, 2 years ago now, I got one of the last Sony ICF 7600 GR radios from Amazon. What a quality radio. I would love to have one. I almost purchased one maybe a year or 2 years ago, something like that. Oh, man, these are great radios. David Arden says my first shortwave radio was a Zenith radio with that was a piece of furniture. Couldn't figure out the shortwave out. Wish I had the radio today. I had my dad would go up to his boss cabin up north. And the boss had one of those huge wooden radios that had shortwave on it. And I remember, and we're back, I would guess 1980, 81, 82 maybe. And I would turn it on sometimes and tune around, and I would hear these weird voices. And I was so sad because one summer we spent a week there. So I was all happy. I was like, oh man, I'm going to be able to tune that radio. And I was so sad. I got there, the radio wouldn't turn on. And that's when we learned, oh no, the radio stopped working a few months back. I was like, oh man, the radio doesn't work anymore. It was so sad. It was a beautiful, beautiful wooden, really, it was a piece of furniture. And it was, oh man, I always remember that. Always remember that radio. Man Radio DX is the first radio I had with shortwave. Was not a dedicated portable or shortwave receiver. It was a national small boombox that covered some parts of the shortwave bands. Cool. That is cool. It's kind of cool. What else do we have? Yeah, there ain't a lot of them. I saw one, and I think Fastload also saw one go through, but they don't often have one going. But like I said, I would not pay a lot of money for the single sideband module for that. Instead of spending money, there's cheaper modules you can actually buy that would actually add SSB capabilities to any radios that doesn't have single sideband. Yeah, a lot of stuff, you gotta say a lot of the stuff that was on the shortwave bands. And I remember when I had that multi-band portable, except from the fact that I remember hearing BBC, because I remember they said, this is London, and it was in English. The rest of the stuff that would go through were like in weird languages, and I was like, what the hell is that? Robert Prosper, hey there. Prices for old radios on eBay, not sure if they are delusional or if bidders on eBay are nuts. No, they're really overpriced, and you're totally right on that, Robert. I can tell you one thing. Nobody sells these radios at that price. Nobody. You cannot sell these radios at that price. It's impossible. I saw the other day is the Ethon, the Grundig S450 DLX, the radio, the field radio I've got here, that I paid $79 for. It was on eBay for $559, and I was like, what? It had 0 bids. Look at all the radios on eBay that are high priced. They have 0 bids. Nobody purchased. Nobody pushes that. I can tell you that. Richard Cook had Brazil yesterday on 96.65, mixing in with Pyongyang. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Tucker Geek, nice to have you here. Does the new elect Balloon 19 really work on a random length wire? It depends on the setup. Honestly, it really depends on the setup. It will have effect for some, not that much for others. It really depends on the setup. Vancouver Island DXer VE7AUL, VE7011SWL. Nice to have you here. Lunch and shopping took longer than expected. So I just got here. I'll have to replay the earlier part of the show. Yeah, tomorrow, 2000 hours UTC, we will have another show. What else do we have? Bill Ross says my best ever radio was the ICOM ICR 71A that I bought used for $300 in 1985. Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one too. I can tell you. It's pretty cool to have everybody here. So, Steve Johnson. So I would guess there would be a length of wire that might be difficult for the balun to balance. But if I was to guess, it would be like a beverage antenna. So since Joe has the RL handbook, he probably knows for sure. Yeah, well, you know, I read on the subject quite a lot, but it's not always a good you know. Syrian Wallajol, if my activities on your channel brings problems to you, I will stop it and just be a passive normal subscriber. Every time I delete YouTube, I return to it and see your videos. I'm addicted to your. Well, there's no problem there, Syrian Wallajol, as long as I have basic. Honestly, I have basic rules on all my YouTube channels. Anybody that are on my YouTube channels, if there's interaction to be given, what I want the respect that I want on my channel is do not post a comment with the F word or any bad words. I will remove every comment that has an F word in it. You know, I know you could be excited and say, oh, that is a effing good radio, but I'll remove it because I can't allow bad language. The second rule, no controversy. No controversy of religion or politics or, don't go post I heard, Trump on a VOA thing and he was talking blah, blah, blah. I don't want to have that shit on my channel, okay? Nothing like that. No politics. It's not a place for that here at all. And I don't care what you think of whatever, of politics or religion. And I don't want that. And the last one would be respect. Respect other people's view. Respect other people's comments. I will not allow somebody that says, well, you're dumb. You should have done. No. I don't want that on my channel either. Respect other people's comments. You can give your own viewpoint without, belittling somebody else. You can give your own comment of something that, you might not agree with whatever. You might not agree with what I have to say. It's okay. I mean, we live in a free world. And you might not agree with what I have to say, and it's quite all right, actually. Because, if I was, right all the time, I'd be God or something. So you can correct me on stuff. But never belittle someone. Never call someone dumb or idiot. For the rest, it's, I allow the chat. I was talking with another YouTuber this week, actually. The guy has stopped all of the comments on his YouTube channel. He doesn't allow them anymore. And he came to me and said, okay, I got a question. How do you deal with the comments on your channels? He said, you got a lot of comments. And what do you do? How do you? And I said, look, I spend part of my day, because as a YouTuber, that's what you do. I spend part of my day cleaning up the comments. You guys be surprised, but probably I would say if you get one good comment, you probably get two trash comments, three trash comments. You got to clean it up. Now, the way I use YouTube is I actually put a filter on. So YouTube detects certain languages, certain things. YouTube will block links, and they will put it in a folder for me to verify. And I will decide if I let it through or not. The first thing I don't want is anybody telling me, well, my comment wasn't there and I left a comment. I don't care. It's my channel. I decide what I do. Stop whining. If your comment isn't there, I decided it wasn't there. And that's my decision. Will always be my decision. But I let through a lot of stuff. I let through comments that people being not agreeing with me. I do let there's conversation can be had, absolutely. But you got to deal with it, and that guy couldn't deal with it. He said, "Look, man, like there's too much shit," and I was like, "Yes, there is too much shit." YouTube comments is a dreadful experience. I could have chosen to never left comments go through. I could have chosen, hey, no comments on this channel. And you know what? I would not spend 2 hours of my day cleaning up all the stuff that you guys wouldn't believe is there. Anything from you're an idiot, you should die, to whatever post that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, and to, of course, all the comments with the F word and so on. So, I spend an hour or two every day to clean up everything on all the channels I got. And I do that because I kind of like to see the interaction. It adds something to the channel to have an interaction. But I totally understand some YouTuber that will tell me, well, I just put the comments to zero. No comments. I can't cope with it anymore. So as long as you keep it, okay, as long as you don't, digress in some way, and say something bad, I got no problem with that. If I know you because you're interacting with me all the time, and I do find that you might be going off track, for somebody that I'm used to seeing regularly, I probably will send you a private message and say, look, man, can you be careful with the comments, please? Because I didn't like that comment you left. I'll let you know. But if I don't know you, I won't take that time. I will just delete it. And, even worse, I'll just block you. You won't even be able to post anymore. What else do we have? Hey, Patrick Manning. Yeah, absolutely. Poop politics. Who the hell is... Okay. Gabriel, my nephew, saying, hey, you want to go to Zoe karaoke tonight? Okay. I'm not sure I want to go there. I will usually go there for too long. Fabrice Simonet. So Steve Johnson says grounding does wonders. Fabrice Simonet says Coast FM on 6285. So good signal. Nice music. Cool. What else do we have? Let's go down slowly. M0HIU. Can someone tell me where I can hear the Canadian Air Force on HF? You know what? You're giving me an idea. Maybe tomorrow bringing up. I'll find. I got a list somewhere of things that you can listen on HF for the Canadian Air Force, and they're often not very far from any other military stuff that you'll hear from, like the U.S. Air Force and so on. For example, 11175 is the U.S. Air Force EM, Emergency Accident Message system. But you will often have the Canadian Air Force close to it, like 11200, something like that. I've heard a few times a few things. It's not as used as the U.S. ones, but it can be interesting to check out. Bien, Arsenault, take care. Tomorrow, 2000 hours UTC. Says you're the boss here, and for me it's clear. I like the atmosphere of the show. That's the reason I'm here. Cool. Nice to have you. Tomorrow, 2000 hours UTC and 0 HIU. If you want to come back, we'll have more. Pretty cool. So I'm going to check that out for tomorrow. I'll try to find some frequencies that are active for Air Force if you want to come back. If you missed the show, it's recorded on YouTube. You can check it out afterwards. Anyways. So, So, hey guys, 3 hours. I think we've gone around pretty much. What do we have to say for today? I'll take it a little easy for the rest of the night. Tomorrow, 2000 hours Universal Time, we've got another show. So I hope you can join us. We'll be talking more about some of the frequencies. We'll try to find some Canadian Air Force frequencies also. And I hope that you guys enjoy the show. So thanks everybody for being here, being great fans. It's always fun to have all of you on board. Tomorrow, 2000 hours Universal Time. And stay safe. And see you tomorrow for the live show, guys. Take care. It's always nice to have all of you here. And if you got any comments, suggestions, please do so. It's always nice. It's always fun to check out. Take care, everybody. And now we'll have to get up to shut down the camera phone. Take care, my friends. Love you all. Love you all. I gotta actually move this thing. Wow, the phone is so hot, guys. Just incredible. Take care.